We're going to continue now with our first speaker of the day, Ms. Craig Kessler with LPGA headquarters. Ashaunta Epps is going to monitor this first. I wouldn't call it a breakout. This first session. Ashaunta Epps is an LPGA professional. What was it? Top 100, top 50?
Top 50.
Top 50 teachers in America. Thank you, sir.
You all right?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
How's everyone doing? I can't hear y'all. How's everyone doing? Y'all got to talk back to me. How's everybody doing?
Hey.
Now that's more like it. So thank you, Dr. Cooper and Mr. Beatty, for having us. So I have the pleasure of having an opportunity to have a quick sit down with my new commissioner, Mr. Craig Kessler. I'm happy to have him on board. So again, just so you all are aware, we'll have a quick Q&A at the end. So feel free to find the mic and ask any questions that you will have. But I'll do a quick introduction to him. So he has an MBA from Harvard Business School. He did his undergraduate at Georgetown University. Prior to this role, he was the Chief Operating Officer for the PGA of America. He's sitting on the board for the National Golf Foundation, as well as the UT Southwestern Hospital Systems. One thing that I thought was pretty cool about Craig, when you hear him on TV, you know, he has the soft-spoken voice and he's all ready and he's all good and everything. But you know what I thought was cool was that he wrote a book called The Dad Advice Project. And it's a compilation of stories and advice for new dads that 40 other gentlemen and himself wrote to share for them. So I thought that was pretty cool. So please help me welcome our commissioner, Craig Kessler.
That's so nice.
So the LPGA has, I think, done some really good things in terms of diversity in the last few years. And I'd just like for you to take a moment to share some of those things, because oftentimes I, as an LPGA professional, may hear and know about those things, but everyone else doesn't get that information. So I'd love for you to share some of that.
Happy to do it. First of all, thank you for having me here. What an opportunity and an honor, and appreciate you, Dr. Cooper, Jim, known you guys for a while, and you extending this invitation. Very, very grateful. And I'll try and answer the questions quickly so we can get to Q&A, because that's the most interesting part of these. So how many of you, just by show of hands, are actually familiar with the LPGA? Okay, cool. That's amazing. I wish the rest of the world would raise their hand like that when we ask that question, but hopefully the best years are yet to come in terms of awareness. So I actually didn't know before I started at the LPGA, there are really three parts to the organization. I was familiar with the first, which is the LPGA Tour. What I didn't know about was the incredible work that the foundation does and the incredible work that our more than 2,000 teaching professionals do. Somebody asked me recently, why'd you take the job? And the fundamental answer is there are very few organizations in the world where you get, as a leader, a chance to touch a few thousand people who in turn inspire millions of people. I'll give you a few examples. If you think about the 2,000 teaching professionals who give lessons to millions of not just women and girls, but mostly women and girls across the country, they're fundamentally making the world a slightly better place. And if anybody's read the NGF research, women and girls are the fastest growing segment in all of golf. So one avenue for diversity. On the foundation this past week, the foundation team raised $4.1 million to, again, give access to women and girls. That's right. We can give applause there. Give access to women and girls who wouldn't otherwise have access. We've put golf clubs in the hands of 1 million girls, and we just started the 1 Million More campaign to make sure women have access. I heard a quote last week from Jacqueline Nickelberry. I don't know if any of you in the crowd know her, but just a really impressive woman who helped with the vision of our 75th anniversary celebration. And she said something I'll never forget. She said, you know, in life and on a golf course, you can make par from off the fairway, but it's a little bit easier to make par when you're in the fairway. And the whole point of the foundation is to give access to people who maybe wouldn't have had a shot to be in the fairway to actually be in the fairway and benefit from the great game. And then finally, on the tour side, I mean, the LPGA Tour athletes are off the charts. We represent over 40 countries. We play 34 events. 14 of them are outside the United States. These are just a few examples of the way the LPGA, I think, touches parts of the world that maybe other tours don't.
So good point, and all great points. Now, so for the past decade, diversity and inclusion has really been breaking down into 4 kind of distinct areas as it pertains to the golf industry. One is recreational play, competitive play, workforce diversity, and supplier diversity. So when we talk about the LPGA and its involvement in those 4 areas, how can you see the LPGA involving the community agents in this room that can assist with that? These are the community, the grassroots organizations, the business owners, those individuals that typically aren't touched by the LPGA because of their size.
I love this question. So let's take it in reverse order. On the workforce, we have work to do. We are not the most diverse organization today. We desperately need talent constantly. I mean, for us to put on 34 events around the world, it takes an amazing team to do that. Janelle, who's in the back, leads our recruiting efforts. Janelle, raise your hand if you don't mind. She's an awesome human being. If you've got talent that you think could come work at the LPGA one day, go find Janelle. Recommend your best people. On supplier diversity, again, I give credit to our team. We've made a conscious effort to try and broaden the diversity of our supplier base. Obviously, more work to do there, but we're very conscious about it. In terms of recreational golf, I think the LPGA, USGA girls golf program and what we're doing there is the tip of the iceberg, but certainly makes a difference. And then competitive golf, I think the representation from our athletes speaks for itself.
No, all great points. All great points. So when we look at those areas, when we talk about executive leadership, the reality is that if you can't measure it, you don't know what it looks like, and you can't grow it. So you can't get better at it. So how are you measuring these efforts? What are those things that your team's measuring? But also, more importantly, what's bubbling up to your desk? Because you, as the leader, if it is not on your radar, it potentially doesn't exist.
I think about measurement in 2 ways. There's the hard facts, which are really important, because if you, like you said, can't actually measure it, it's hard to know if you're making progress. So again, diversity of the supplier base, diversity of our staff, diversity of who's participating in our junior golf programs. Those are a handful of metrics. I'll tell you what's a little bit soft and fuzzy, though, but I actually really care deeply about. Again, Janelle and I were talking about this earlier today, is the ability to bring diverse viewpoints into the discussion. So I want to do a thought experiment, only because I don't know if anyone out here has a mic. We're going to do this together. I'm going to put you on the spot for a second.
I'm ready.
All right. So if I ask you to think about a baseball and describe it to me, like describe what that baseball looks like.
Round.
Yep.
Typically white.
Yep.
Thread. So it's typically leather.
Yeah, leather.
It has threading.
What color is the threading?
Typically about this red.
It's red. Perfect. Stop there. That's great. And I want everybody in your mind to do this with me as we go through this. The second, there's only 3 things here. The second thing I want you to think about is a hammer. Describe what a hammer looks like.
So a hammer is about a 2-inch wooden object with a metal top, with a flat side on one end and 2 poking prongs on the other side.
Perfect. And what color?
Well, typically the bottom is a version of brown.
Okay.
And then the top, the steel, the metal is grayish.
You're good at this. Yeah. Really good at this. All right, last one. And you don't get to think hard on this. You got to go quick.
Okay, I got to go quick.
Last one. When I say the word leader, what comes to mind? Quick.
Those who are a service-oriented person.
I love it. Okay, so I've done this 1,000 times, and every time we do it, we get to a similar answer. So when I say the word baseball, my guess is most of you in your mind got a very similar object. White, round, red laces, made out of leather. Again, I'm picking on Janelle. She said cotton earlier. I've never heard of a cotton baseball, but for everyone else, you get roughly a similar image. When we talk about the word hammer, that's where we start to introduce more variation. So some of you had a 2-inch hammer, which is the smallest hammer in the history of the world. Some of you might be 6
Might not
inches.
use it all.
Yeah, that's true. Me either. Like the light bulb goes out. My wife's like, call the plumber. And I'm like, first of all, I can do it. And you don't call a plumber for the light bulb, but your confidence in me is very clear. The point is, as we get from baseball to hammer, you introduce more variation and we start to see different things. When you ask people about the word leader, there's massive variation. So you had a phrase, service-oriented individual. I might picture President Obama or JFK or like an actual person. In my opinion, the best argument, and there are lots of good arguments, but the best argument for why diversity matters so much is because the problems we face as executives every day are closer to the word to the word leader than they are the word baseball. And what I hear will be so different from what you hear. And it's my job to make sure I understand what you're thinking and your job to understand what I'm thinking so we can actually get a variety of perspectives at the table before we make a decision. It's very hard to measure that, but the best teams have the ability to get those diverse perspectives out in the open. Hard to do, but really important part of what we're trying to build at the LPGA.
And I agree with you 100%. So is it an accurate statement to say that you're clear on the percentage of or the makeup of the employees as it pertains from a diverse perspective for the LPGA?
We measure it for our players. We measure it for our staff. We measure it for the professionals. Totally.
Okay, so those numbers and those bubble up to you.
Yeah,
Okay, they mean a lot to you.
they do. In fairness, I'm 6 months in. I have a lot to learn,
Yeah.
like a whole lot to learn about how we're going to influence those numbers. But yeah, they show up on a dashboard.
Okay, good, and that's really important. So as we dive a little deeper into that area, then, what type of internal education or training that exists for your staff and your team as it pertains to diversity, whether it's language, usage, activity, anything of that sort, to ensure that the LPGA environment, HQ, dealing with professionals, dealing with players, that it is a all around diverse or inclusive organization.
I think one of the things we do, I had an English teacher, 4th or 5th grade. It's crazy that I still remember her impact, Mrs. George, and she said, show, don't tell. And the point I took is you can pound someone over the head with a message you want them to hear, but until they feel it in their bones, they won't fully digest it. One of the things I'm proud of our team for is we try and show, don't tell. So we invite people out of the office to actually see our programs in action. Go to a golf tournament, go to one of our girls' golf events. I thought one of the coolest events I've gotten to see was at the CME Tour Championship at the back of the range, 200 girls of all different shapes and sizes and backgrounds, like actually experiencing the programs. And I felt in my bones what the future could look like and how different it is from, frankly, where we are today. That's one example of what we're trying to do to bring diversity to life as opposed to just talking about it.
So great point. And that's good. And I think that's what we all want, right? So you can sit in a room and have a conversation about what you're going to do for a long time, right? And you can have a meeting about when you can meet, or you can start doing work so you can push the needle forward, right? So in that same aspect, when you think about success for the LPGA, what does success look like for the LPGA's diversity efforts 5 to 10 years from now? Because I know you're in, first 6 months, you're still finding your way.
Yeah.
But when you think about what that long-term success looks like, what does that mean to you, and how does that look?
Let's separate the tour and professionals and the foundation for a second from actually making the world a better place and a more inclusive place. I was sharing this earlier today. When I grew up in San Diego, golf was the sport your dad left you for 6 hours on a Saturday. That's what it was. For my kids, it is a totally different ballgame. We live in Dallas, Texas now. Our kids do PGA Junior League in kind of a fringe neighborhood that's sandwiched between a really nice neighborhood and one that's really not. For them, golf is a co-ed 3-on-3 scramble with kids who look nothing like them. They don't know any different because that's their sense of normalcy. We'll know we're making progress when kids around the country go to play PGA Junior League or go to play adult golf, and the people around them look and feel more like the world than maybe what shows up today on golf courses. Seth Waugh, my former boss at the PGA of America, has this beautiful phrase. I may butcher it, but it's effectively, we all wish the game looked more like the world, and perhaps the world will behave more like the game. I think that makes a ton of sense.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Um, I'll send you an email to get those metrics, and we'll send it out to everyone. We need to get the details of that. That'd be great. So before we head to the questions, so if you have a question, I don't know if there's someone with the microphone. What would you like young girls from underrepresented communities to know about the LPGA and their place within the future of golf?
You're welcome. We need you. We want you. Tune in, watch, join one of our programs, reach out, become a part of it. If you need financial assistance, whether it's a leadership academy, whether it's a scholarship program, whether it's joining one of our summer internship roles, there's something for you at the LPGA.
You got a question, Craig?
Yeah, come on.
No, I'm working the audience for those that have. Yes. Any questions? Okay, we got a question over here.
Actually, I want to give a shout out. My name is Azucena Maldonado, the founder of the Latina Golfers Association. And I'm so proud, and I want you to be aware of her. One of our girls, who we've had since she was 9 years old, just earned her LPGA card, Brianna Chacon.
Let's go.
So be looking out for her, a Mexican American, a U.S. Latina who's going to be on the tour. She starts in March. She debuts in March in China. So we're very proud of her. We want you all to keep her in your radar.
Let's go. That's awesome.
So another hand. Okay.
Good afternoon, Leisha Green, and I'm a fellow Texan. I am not a golfer, but a golf advocate. And I've got a question around what's happening sort of globally. Little concerned about whether you all will capitulate to any of the administration's, let's just say, trying to kill DEI and what that could mean for the LPGA and any programs locally around the country.
It's not only an excellent question, it's an important question. I really hope that the thought experiment we did together demonstrates to you and to the group where and why, and it's just one guy's point of view, but why I think diversity is a must. If we don't bring various viewpoints to the table, if we don't push each other, if we don't challenge each other, we will never maximize our opportunity to make the world a better place. And it may sound so corny to you, but I think my kind of career steps will demonstrate, like, I really mean it. It's why I worked at Topgolf, where we had 25,000 employees who touched millions of customers and guests a year. It's why I felt the PGA of America was such a beautiful opportunity to touch 30,000 teaching professionals who touch millions of people. And it's very similar here. I really feel on a personal level a deep obligation to make what is often a very difficult and scary world for a lot of people a slightly better place. And diversity is one of the important ingredients to help us get there.
Hi, my name is LaJean Gould with Women in Golf Foundation, and I don't know that I need an answer to this, but I would like maybe a commitment or commitment to another conversation about it. Because I think one of the biggest things that we here at the Women in Golf Foundation struggle with is how we get more people that look like us playing on the LPGA tour. And we know that that's going to require work, excuse me, that's intentional.
Yep.
Because when we all focus and get intentional about something, we make that happen. So I just like to ask that the door is open to work with us to figure out how we can be intentional about that.
The door, the garage, the roof, they're all open. I mean, I think don't quote me because I may be off on this, but I think 38% of our participants in girls golf are African American. Like, I don't have the answer to your very important question around how do we make sure tour professionals ultimately look more like the world. People have tried for a while, and clearly we have more work to do. So I don't pretend to have all the answers. What I do believe is the only way we'll have a shot is if we start at the grassroots level when kids are really young. and we teach them a sense of normalcy, which includes golf, no matter what you look like.
So I like the question that she asked, and I'm really glad that you are committing to having those conversations, because I'll tell you from an LPGA professional's perspective, I became a Class A member in 2017. So from 2017 prior, so from 1959 to 2017, there were 8 Black LPGA professionals, right? However, at that time, we made a clear, intentional decision to say the way we can reach more Black girls is to have more Black teaching professionals. It's a win-win. From 2017 until 2025, that number has increased to 31. That is it's tripled, right? For being intentional. And that was done with a committee that was not just looking at how to grow, or it was just about Blacks, but it was about creating a framework for where we could do that with adaptive golf, with others. And I'll tell you, to the day, for some reason, that committee has disappeared. So I'm excited that we can have that conversation, right? But what I'm more excited about is that you're sitting in the front of the room. We could have never raised those numbers without this audience. It was the engagement with these community agents who are passionate about doing what we do. So just know that there is a partnership with all of us in this room, and we're excited about continuing those conversations so that we can help each other and all of us push those needles forward, like she mentioned.
Well said. Really well said. Yeah, roll around the applause.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rashad Wilson. I'm a Georgia Section PGA member and GCSA member as well. My question is to continue to champion the diversity in the game, and also to your point, having more Black instructors. I know that in 2025, the LPGA changed their gender association policies to where there can be some more access from a male perspective. I know myself, just like many other golf professionals and community advocates for the game, run programs that kind of uplift, the community, kids, et cetera, exposure. But when it comes to the females and from a male perspective, just knowing more ideologies, best management practices in order to deliver that comprehensive instruction, and going through that TEP program and becoming a member. So again, as a male, wanting to know what that looks like since you've changed your policies and the collaboration, because I mean, we've had numerous roundtables of all the associations need to bridge the gap and come together and partner together. Like, again, how does that work since we've changed some of those gender policies? Because again, I'm a girl dad and I need my baby girl to get some of these scholarships to y'all colleges and stuff out there in that regard. So
Yeah.
thank you for that.
Yeah. Look, I totally agree with the thesis about collaboration being way more powerful than everybody doing their own thing. And sometimes in golf we talk about it. Sometimes we also struggle to actually do it. So I agree with you totally. I don't have a specific answer to your question. It's not one I've gotten. It's not one where I've spent a ton of time yet, to be totally transparent with you. But if you find me after, we can figure out a way to follow up and I can get you an answer.
Good afternoon. My name is Pat Lindsay Harvey, and I am founder and CEO of EduSports Academy. We have a program called Swing City Golf in New Jersey. And for the last 5 years, the LPGA has invited us to come to the tour in New Jersey. And I take the students there just so at least they can see females playing. But we're not seeing the diversity. So they're not seeing people that look like them. So I took them to the Sapphire Tour, and what a big difference it made in the lives of these young people. They actually saw people that look like them playing professionally. And I had an opportunity to talk to some of those young ladies, and they said the biggest problem for them is money. They just can't get the sponsors to get on the tour. So I want to know what we're doing about that.
Again, and you'll have to hopefully appreciate the total transparency. There are some things I have really good answers to because we've spent a ton of time on it. There are some things I don't know. 6 months in, I haven't spent much time on that specific question. The good news is the team that I know is going to help us drive a lot of the change that's embedded in the questions you're all asking. They're standing in the back. We're going to have conversations after today, and I treat this as just an amazing learning opportunity for me. What I would say also is the theme you're describing is one we heard at the PGA of America when I was there too. Access is part of the problem, but perpetual access is a really big problem. You can get a free round of golf anywhere once. How do you get on a golf course 6 days a week so that you can train to compete with the best of them? It feels to me, again, candidly, like this is a problem that's been around for a long time that people have talked about. Nobody's cracked it. What I am starting to see and feel is that there are partners who want to come to the table and help in really big and meaningful ways. Now, does that mean unlimited access all the time to everyone? Like, of course not. These people have to run businesses, because if the businesses aren't profitable, the whole system evaporates. What it does mean is that, and I'll shout out one of our partners, Arcus Golf, right? They've got a series of golf courses all over. They have created access for LPGA touring professionals, many of whom, by the way, if you're at the bottom of the pack, still struggle. And the fact that they can go play on a range 7 days a week and train, like, that's a step up. That's a step forward from where we've been in the past. More work to be done, but I'm optimistic.
Hi, my name is Jackie Shields. I'm president of Sisters Across America Incorporated. And I'm really happy about all of you who are supporting the youth programs and getting kids at young ages introduced to golf. The mission of our organization is to help support and mentor young minority women who are pursuing a professional golf career. So we grow them up in golf. They're all excited, but once they get to that threshold level at the top, so what do I do now? Where are the programs that help and support me to propel my professional golf career? So we have been working diligently. We celebrate our 20th anniversary this year. We're so excited about it. And we welcome partners and supporters to help us in our mission to propel those young women into that next step. 2 of those 8 women who have made it to the LPGA to get a tour card are Shasta Avery Hart, who was our first mentee, and Ginger Howard, who was our second. They are in the 8. And we are so happy that we've just announced Kendall Jackson is one of our
Let's
3
go.
mentees.
Congratulations.
One thing I will say, Craig, to her question, what the LPGA has done is, and one of the things that creates the barrier is like, okay, you see these cup teams. Well, how did that person get on that cup team? How did that person get on that cup team? But what we are seeing lately though is that we're peeling back the layers to see what tournaments need to be won at what time to be eligible. Because if it's a situation where you could play the best golf, you can't play. But if you don't know what tournaments to play in, and you don't know if you're playing from the right yardages, and you're not putting yourself in a position to be aligned when you get there, it doesn't matter. So as we peel back those layers, and you may look at them now and say, oh, well, they have to win this tournament, that tournament. Well, it's too late now. Well, it's not too late for the next set of individuals that are coming along. So I encourage junior programs to look at those underlying pieces for your competitive juniors and get them in line with those tournaments and play those tournaments. If you're a competitive golfer or you're competing, you should be intentional about the ones that you're playing in, and that is leading you to get the cup, to get the exemption, whatever it is that's available. So that's one of the pieces. Now, lots more work to be done, but I just wanted to add that. Question.
Thank you, Ashaunta. I'm Darrell Osborne, and I do golf in Charlotte. My question is the LPGA committed to financially to supporting areas where golf can be marketed? Secondly, my question is, what will the LPGA do in the area, not only marketing, but supplying or supporting equipment? We all know that golf is a very, very expensive sport. Yeah. And some things that I have done, and Ashaunta may attest to this, I spend a lot of my own personal money. I don't sweat it. Okay. God has blessed me tremendously. So I don't mind doing mine, but I hope that the PGA will do some things, the LPGA, and even all of us in this audience will do a good job of making an introduction to golf in your high schools, middle schools, elementary schools, nurseries, and above all, where you go worship it. So it's going to have to take place there. And hopefully, when it takes place there, we hope that the LPGA will be able to acknowledge that and support our efforts in doing that.
Yeah, the answer is yes, and totally agree with you. I was reflecting on, we moved to Dallas from New York 10 years ago. We didn't know anybody, we had no family. And what I found so interesting reflecting on it is, we're fortunate to live in a really nice neighborhood in Dallas, and everybody came up and asked what school your kid's going to go to, what baseball team are they going to play on, what basketball team, what football team. We didn't get a single question about golf, like not one. So I can only imagine if living in a nice neighborhood in Dallas, we didn't get asked a single question about where our kids were going to play golf. In neighborhoods that are less fortunate, I'm almost certain the question about where your kid's going to play golf is not coming up. The only way the sport will end up looking more like the world is if somehow we figure out how to change that. And I think the girls golf program, some of our work with HBCUs, it's intended to do that, but we've got a very, very long way to go.
How can we engage city golf courses that are in predominantly Black neighborhoods? Like in Denver, they closed down their one golf course that was in a predominantly Black neighborhood. In Minnesota, they're trying to make one of their golf courses 9 holes instead of 18 holes, which is also in a predominantly Black neighborhood. Are there ways we can engage those golf courses to stay open, provide LPGA funding in any way?
There's definitely not a silver bullet solution, but I've seen a couple of creative things work, and I'm gonna use a very, very silly analogy, but hopefully it'll make sense. My wife wanted our kids to eat their vegetables, and they're like, "But they're vegetables, Mom. Like, there's nothing exciting about this." And lo and behold, an air fryer shows up the next day, and ranch dressing shows up, and it's like, wow, suddenly the vegetables don't look like vegetables anymore, and they're interested. I've seen examples of where golf courses have gone from underutilized assets where people on city council or citizens go, what a waste of space, let's repurpose it for something else. And what the golf course does is transforms itself into something more than just an underutilized golf course. Think about, community gathering spots, live music on Thursday and Friday nights, places where people go to do more than just play golf. And now you create a sense of energy. That energy creates a self-sustaining business. And now the city's going, wait a second, why would we ever shut this down? This is a safe place to hang where people are doing good things. And by the way, it's making money, not losing money. So rather than just treating the small, discrete symptom, I would think more holistically about how to create the energy and the economics that will make it impossible for somebody to come in and shut it down.
We've got one last question. Testing. All right, we have one last question in the back. And before I turn it over, because it's very related, just wanted to introduce myself. My name is Tiffany White, and I am the president of the Ted Rhodes Foundation, also the granddaughter of golf pioneer Ted Rhodes. So excited to be here with you. But this question is related to HBCUs, and I'm an HBCU grad. I don't know if we have any I attended the Clark Atlanta University, so want to turn it over for the HBCU question.
All right. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Commissioner, it was a pleasure meeting you earlier. I am the outgoing president of the Black College Golf Coaches Association. I just want to make an introduction to our new president, Andre Springs, who's been around the game a long time. So this is our new president. Our vice president, young man over here, come on up here, Penny, Mr. Penny. He's our vice president. You got to always have a succession plan in place. So that's how he's that guy. But my question, Commissioner, is kind of piggybacking off the young lady's question. I'm also the head golf coach at Miles College. What I'm finding out in in the world is particularly, it doesn't matter whether it's HBCU, whether it's college golf as a whole. When you go around the country and the increased pricing on to play the game at the college level, I'm finding that it's becoming more difficult, more expensive for institutions to be able to have a place, the public golf courses, to compete or practice, therefore affecting what the young ladies are talking about as it relates to having a place to play, whether it's in a underserved, underprivileged, underserved community, or whether it be in an area, and I don't want to call Robert Trent Jones out, but I will, in areas in Birmingham where it's becoming more and more expensive, especially after COVID. Do you have provide an answer, give us some guidance or something?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It's a similar question to 3 or 4 of the questions we've been talking about here. Totally acknowledge the issue and don't have the one size fits all solution. What I've seen in some places is that college golf coaches, as an example, can find partners or donors or sponsors who are deeply, deeply passionate, not just about the game, but about creating more equality in the game. I give a massive shout out to David and Nina Kohler, who hosted the HBCU championship with PGA Works at Whistling Straits last year. Yeah, it was absolutely amazing. Shut the courses down for a couple of days, and they did it because it's the right thing to do. Now, the challenge with that is there are only so many David and Nina Kohlers out there, right? But part of our challenge is to go find them, tap into their heartstrings, and take advantage of the opportunity to create more equality in the game. That's not a super scalable solution, right? So in addition to finding those people, I think we have to continue the conversation to look for things that are more scalable, perhaps tapping in, as I mentioned before, to partners like Arcus and others who care deeply about the sport. And by the way, as they should, they care about it for altruistic reasons, but also economic reasons. And if there's a way to demonstrate that maybe on a volume basis, pricing comes down a little bit, but the volume makes up for the affordable pricing, like these are the types of very rational conversations we have to have. Great question. Maybe just in closing, and then I'll hand it back to you to wrap us up. I'll finish where I started. Wildly grateful for the opportunity to be invited only 6 months in to sit in this room. Dr. Cooper, Jim, I really appreciate the opportunity, and for all that you've done to make me feel welcome. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for coming into the room, right? For that in itself is a statement. And in feeling those questions, I think you hear our passion, and I feel like I heard your passion as well too. And I look forward to continuing those conversations. I think we all heard the acceptance of the continuing the conversation, so we're excited about that and happy that you committed to that. So with us being able to stay engaged with what's going on with the LPGA and really just continuing to be aware of what's happening, as we continue to support the organization, what's the best way for this audience to stay involved with all things LPGA, just to make sure that we're supporting what's being done, we're supporting girls golf, we're supporting the tournaments, things of that stuff.
If I had to boil it down to one phrase, I would say raise your hand. And the way in which you raise your hand could be different for each one of you. It could be raising your hand and letting us know you've got someone in your world who would be a great team member at the LPGA. It could be raising your hand saying, hey, I've got a neighborhood that really needs a LPGA, USGA girls golf program. Can we talk about it? It could be I've got someone in my network who's passionate about this. They're looking to make a donation and they're not sure where. Craig, would you personally have a conversation with somebody who has the potential to be a game-changing partner? I could go on and on and on and give you examples, but fundamentally, it's raise your hand and find a way to get involved.
Sounds good. Well, I appreciate the time. Good talking to you.